and thanks for joining us. I'm here with Kaja Jankowski, who is the Associate Culinary Director at the Sterling Rice Group in Boulder, Colorado. And every year the group does a culinary report looking at the year to come. And we're going to spend a few minutes here talking about what might be ahead for 2013. Kaja, tell me, first of all, I know there was a lot of talk about snacking in the report, and what did you find in terms of that category?
Bob, popcorn's going to be big next year, and you may say to yourself, popcorn, how popcorn? We've seen it before. How is it going to be different? Well, it's pretty exciting this year because there are three major consumer trends that really line up with what popcorn might do next year. Consumers want healthy food that's got lots of flavor, preferably international flavor, but they want something that feels familiar, that ties back to the heritage, a time of escape. Well, popcorn can deliver all of those things. It's a whole grain, it's puffed, whole grain. It's a great carrier of flavor, so we're beginning to see companies put flavors like chipotle and caramel corn together and really create that sweet, spicy mix. And we're also seeing, still that tie back to the past. So we've seen brands like 479 Degrees, we've seen Quinn Popcorn, they're smaller brands, kind of leverage some of that in the past years. We expect it to go big this year. Big brands start thinking about it. How they'll do it will probably involve some of those international flavors for sure, but they also may just take inspiration from the puffed aspect of popcorn and begin to think about new ways to incorporate popcorn, puff grains.
I also know that retailers on our side and the supermarkets are trying to boost produce sales all the time, and I know that you talked a little bit about different produce trends. What's going on in food service that might translate over onto the supermarket side?
There's really a lot happening with fruits and vegetables. Again, it comes from a consumer desire to have healthier options, but chefs are getting so darn excited about having new options with fruits and vegetables and doing new things with them that they're bringing them into parts of the plate that you wouldn't have expected before. So you see chefs begin to bring celery into their cocktails with celery juice. You see chefs begin to put vegetables at the center of the plate, but not in a way that diminishes them. It celebrates them. It's a T-bone cauliflower steak at the center of your plate, kohlrabi bourguignon. Those kinds of shifts and flavors are what chefs are doing. Really open up a lot that a retailer could do too, because they don't need to think of limiting their fruits and vegetables to certain areas of the place. That changes the way you can talk to the consumer. That changes the way that you can think about laying things out in your produce section. It really creates a lot of different opportunities.
I know you mentioned too sour. We talk about taste and everything, taste sensations, salty, sweet. Sour is finally getting its turn this next year.
Sour is getting its turn, and it's kind of fun to see how it's played out. Certainly there are smaller brands like Boat Street that have played with the idea of pickling, and they've pickled fruit even. There are companies like the Brooklyn Brine, which are making sauerkraut and bringing back those flavors. But then there are bigger brands that are beginning to play with it. Like think of New Belgium has just launched a sour red beer. So it's putting that kind of bitter, acidic flavor forward.
Did you find anything in this year's report that was especially surprising or compelling?
You know what is most interesting for me is the way chefs are engaging in the new dialogue around health. For so long, consumers have had to lead that. They've had to be the ones selecting from the options put in front of them to create the right diet for themselves. Finally, chefs are getting on board.
And Kaja, finally, tell me, why is it important for food retailers to know what's going on the food service and the restaurant side of the business?
It's a great question, Bob. Food service is what leads with many of the trends that we see. They are the people who have the flexibility and nimbleness to really get out there, try new ingredients, put things in front of consumers, and it's the way that consumers often first interact with new ingredients and new flavors. So it's kind of the entry point for many consumers to new products, new flavors that then they're willing to buy at the supermarket, bring into their home with their home cooking. So it's the leading edge. How it plays out in retail can be different than how it plays out in food service, but it's an inspiration.
Okay, great. Well, listen, thank you for your insights, and thank you for joining us.